This is Sports Stuff with Jim and Muff. Full barn.
Does our
Yay.
barn have a name?
What's that?
Does our barn have a name?
The Rowdy House.
Whatever you guys come up with it as.
Rowdy House Ranch.
The full barn is on the Rowdy House Ranch. Thank you, Alex.
Made that up. Appropriate.
Today is Monday, December 2nd, and we had a meaningful slate of football games across all levels,
Oof, that's a
professional,
Meaning.
college, and high school.
meaningful say. Very underselling.
In the high school level.
Meaningful.
Nate
We're
had
at that
some
point, we're
action.
at that point of the season, Jim, where we're getting into really meaningful games.
Meaningful.
Meaningful. Some
All
would say
right.
life altering.
Yeah, that's probably a good one.
Over the weekend, we had flags being planted across the nation,
Yeah.
and it wasn't flags that were coming around on NFL trade deadline day.
Or
Mm-mm.
my referee's 40-yard flag.
There we go. Varying degrees of response from fan bases and players across the country and at those levels.
Mm-hmm.
An
Mm-hmm.
8 overtime thriller in Georgia.
Yeah.
Syracuse tossing the ACC playoff picture into unknown directions, as well as some teams' playoff hopes into the shiter.
Really helped Ohio State. Thank you, Kyle McCourt.
I don't know how that helped High State, but
Oh, you got to figure them
we'll talk.
knocking Miami out of picture. I mean, that's the narrative on Ohio State, Bill. That's what they're saying. I don't know,
Okay,
man. I don't fucking care.
we'll get into this, Jim. Don't worry, we're gonna rip this Band-Aid off quick for you. The Big 12 getting things straightened out with its last game on Saturday being the deciding game. But the biggest Big 12 news for this podcast did come on Sunday. Don't worry, Alex, we'll get into that. We had a huge matchup in Columbus that sent shockwaves throughout the college football world
It wasn't that huge.
and other outcomes that the fan base is now clamoring for.
Yeah, that happened.
We'll get into the NFL along with our college football winners and losers of the week.
There's only one big loser, and he still has a job.
Thanks to everybody for interacting with our content on the show, on the socials. Make sure you catch us on YouTube at Sports Jim Muff on Instagram and Twitter, Sports Stuff with Jim Muff on Facebook, on YouTube. Subscribe, comment, rate, review, poke, like, tickle.
Get the bell on.
Ding ding.
Don't forget our weekly betting episodes. I have a feeling we're going to have some more guests in the coming weeks. Those drop on Thursday mornings to get you primed to pump up that bank account throughout your weekend.
Pump you up.
Before we get into college football week 14, Nate, you did some playoff officiating this past weekend.
Yes, and it was cold as hell. And we played in a snow globe.
So did you play in Cleveland? Was the game in
I
Cleveland?
kind of felt like it.
Well,
Uh,
what
no,
do
we
what
were
do officials do in snow globe like conditions?
bundled the hell up. Kind of like
Any
these fans in Buffalo tonight. I think I was in 3 layers on Friday night.
3 layers? Were you wearing cleats?
No, my footing was fine. Although the snow that we got pre-game, it ended up forming into ice on the field. So that was fun.
Did you fall? Did you bite it?
No, there were some big chunks, though, that some players were stepping on, and you could see it flying off their cleats. And for the first couple series of the game there, I was struggling to find the hash marks to spot the ball.
You needed the overlay like they did in Thursday Night Football, so you
I
guys
was
could
looking
see.
around, and I got on our radios. I go, who the hell has the damn blowers?
So if you weren't wearing cleats, what were you wearing? Regular tennis shoes?
Just my normal turf shoes.
Out turf shoes. Okay.
Sounds hideous.
What,
Remind me of the
Alex?
commercial. What are you wearing? It's Jake from State Farm. Khakis.
Turf shoes.
Turf
She
shoes.
sounds hideous.
All right, Nate. Do you have any other upcoming games?
Yes, so that was my penultimate game of the year. I will be on a bye this week with the West Virginia State final coming in 2 weeks.
2 weeks' time, Nate will be on the championship stage. Get excited.
Oh, please.
We'll see. Maybe you'll have some visitors. TBD. All right, let's get into it. College football week 14. Before we get into this, some other news of note. Gus Malzahn resigns as head coach of UCF to become the offensive coordinator at Florida State.
Do we think he lost a bet?
I was just gonna say jumping headfirst into a dumpster fire.
No, I think it's a smart move.
For
He's gonna be
whom?
credited with the turnaround to come up.
Yeah, I mean, where's he going to go from UCF? Like,
I mean, I think
heck,
that was probably a better situation to stay than what, like Alex said, is a dumpster fire at Florida State right now.
no, I don't. I think that this is the new thing. I think you got head coaches that aren't gonna make the big move because there's not a lot of openings right now with buyouts and whatnot, and guys who are frankly tired don't want to play the NIL game, don't want to play the recruiting game. Go be an offensive coordinator, ride it out a little bit. If you can turn a program around, or if you strike gold, then you might get a bigger offer. Whereas Gus is probably going to go. If he strikes gold at UCF, he'll land a what? Like a Tulane in North Carolina, who won't get to sniff the big air
Well, he's already
until
been there, done that. He's won a national championship with
that's what
Auburn.
I'm saying. So like he's not going to make that big move from UCF unless he gets this. Like I think this is the new like jumping post.
And I think for Florida State, it's a great hire too.
Oh yeah, it's a win-win for everybody. I think.
I mean, for as bad as Florida State's been this year, to hopefully try to get recruits to come in the door, say, "Hey, look, we know we had a really bad year, but we got a national championship winning or offensive coordinator.
Yeah,
Look at what he's done when he was at Auburn. Look what he did at where was he at after that? I'm trying to think where else he was, but I mean, just his offensive style. Like if he can get his guys in there, his offenses can be dynamic.
yeah.
We shall see if Florida State turns around, although I don't know if there's much lower that they can go after
Hey,
this
ask
year.
State, they know.
Ask who?
Kent,
Well, I don't think Kent State was a top 5 team in the nation ever.
No.
hey,
So
they are on my dynasty. Damn it.
you've done fantastic things, Nate. All right, let's get into our games of the week from our teams of fandom, starting with Texas Tech walloping WVU 52-15. But Alex, that is nay, 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 not the headline.
Mm-mm.
What is the headline,
Well,
Alex?
fans, friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ear. Neil Brown is finally gone.
Did they fire him?
Yes.
They pulled the trigger, huh?
Good riddance. Sayonara. You're a great person. I wish you nothing but success in life, but it's time for you to go. Usher in an era, I pray, of someone with grit, toughness, mental fortitude that will lead WVU back to prominence of above average that it once was.
Above average. So competing in the Big 12 year in and year out.
Yes.
That is the goal. Did you watch any of this game?
No, to be honest. Yeah, let me take that back. Yes, I watched most of the first quarter, and then the other game was much more exciting. I was pissed off, and I said, "Plug it," and I would click back. I would click back and forth, but realistically, I did not watch very much of it.
All right,
It's
there
not
you
much to
go.
watch.
We've got any have you heard any discussions about who next coach is, Alex?
No, I haven't. I mean, people have been rumbling about like Jimbo Fisher and stuff like that unofficially. My pap brought up Nick Saban. You know, my dad had to let him down easy. That would not be happening. But he was very convinced on Thanksgiving. He said, "What about that one guy? He's from West Virginia. He was a really good coach. Well, what he's going on?" And I'm like, and I didn't even say Nick Saban because I'm like, surely he doesn't mean that. And then finally, I was like, Nick Saban. My dad's like, "No, Dad, no, he's not going to West Virginia."
Not happening.
He's like, "I heard someone say that." And I was like, "No, I think you heard someone say that he has enough friends that there's a chance that if one of his buddies got in, he would do like some kind of like outside consulting or something, but he will not be the coach of the Mountaineers."
Okay. What are your thoughts, West Virginia crew? Ushering in a time of
New
resurgence,
climb.
hope,
New climb.
and thought and hopeful season ticket holding. Alex, this is what we're
Yes.
ushering in right now. All right, next we have Penn State taking out Maryland 44-7. Just win and cover this week, baby. As we, I think, all realize at this point, this helped put Penn State into the Big Ten championship. Tyler Warren did miss out on becoming the leading tight end as far as total receiving yards in Big Ten history. Not playing, I don't think at all in the fourth quarter, but has had an amazing season worth the NFL draft hype that he will be receiving. Um, Penn State went down early in this game, was down 7-0, and then scored 44 unanswered. Exactly what was expected. Uh, Unfortunately, I have to say that Penn State is the classless group this week,
Why?
not by planting any sort of flags on the field, but by scoring at the end of the game for no reason
You played the game.
as
Good
time
for you.
expired.
I'll tell you what, I am going to jump in here. I liked James Franklin's. Did you see James Franklin's interview
Yep.
about this afterward? I liked what he said. He said, "My job is to put 3 and 4 in. If I put 3 and 4 in and they beat year one, that's on you, not me. Like those kids have worked their ass off all year. They have a right to play too." And I was like, you know what? Okay,
They scored.
that was a viable excuse for me that these kids work their ass off. If they want to go in and get theirs and get a touchdown, and they're playing your number one, and you can't stop them. That's on you, not me.
They
I was
scored
like, I'm
points.
in. Yep,
It's a game.
in which you're trying to score points.
I,
The point of the game is to win. I still
you
say
did
that it
it.
was unnecessary. I understand James Franklin's point. I understand he's putting the threes and fours in.
I think it's because I was always a
There
three
is
or
a time to
four.
call off the dogs.
I think it's because I was always a 3 or 4.
No. Firmly disagree. No. You're about to go against, and you knew at this point, you're about to go against Oregon. You need everybody this late in the season. You need everybody to show up. You don't put the brakes on. Piss on that. Go.
All right. My opinion. What's Nate's opinion? Just need to get everybody's take on this. Nate?
I agree with what James Franklin said. It's like, you want to tell my threes and fours just to go out there just to take a fucking knee? No.
Mm-mm.
Now, I don't know. How did they score? Was it like a
It
long
was
pass?
a pass. They were, I think, around the 10, 15-yard line.
Okay, if you're throwing the ball that late, I understand it a little bit. But still, I agree with James Franklin. And I think the most of us here, yeah, you're out there to play the game, get better, whatever. You're not just going to go out there and bow down and say, hey, redshirt freshman quarterback who's not going to play again this year, go out there and take a knee.
So when your starter gets smashed in the semis and he can't go, and you bring in this 3 or 4 and he's got no reps and you're at the 10 and it's time to go for it all. I want the guy who's got the live fire rep versus going in with nothing. Don't care. Take it from somebody who, when we walked Will How or what's his face out there, number 33 for Ohio State. I can't think because I'm getting pissed. When we walked him out there after Will Howard took a headshot,
Wasn't a headshot, but we'll get there.
his head was injured. How about that?
Not because of the hip, but because of how he fell.
His head was injured. I literally was like, well,
Noah Brown.
we got nobody. I want somebody. I want the next person up, and I want them to be prepared.
I mean, I'm not. I don't say the next person I don't want prepared, but you've all got to realize that the quarterback in this case is Bear Pribula, who's been playing all season.
When was the last time he had live fire reps? I want him
Every
to
game,
be.
Jim.
I'll
Every
say
game.
probably last week.
Every
needs
game he's
more.
had live fire reps.
He needs more.
Okay. That
It's
one's going to
November,
be the difference.
December. Damn right.
All right. All right. Moving on.
Mm-hmm.
Ohio State, Michigan.
Yep.
Do it.
Ohio State lost.
If you
That
think you're getting
happened.
away that easily.
That happened. I mean, there's no other way to say for the fourth year in a row, Ohio State lost at home. They ran the ball an exorbitant amount of times, getting next to nothing, and thought, let's do it again. We have Ferraris for receivers. We don't need to throw it to them. We're going to run the ball excessively for 1 to 2 yards and get nothing. And let's do that again. And the defense will hold out the entire game. And they did a hell of a job. But eventually, that's going to break. You have to put up points. And the crowd started letting him know. And he said, you can't just abandon the run. Yes, you fucking can. You did it at the end of the half, and it worked just fine. What are you talking? The issue was Will Howard threw an interception or two. I think the first one is what scared him off. And we took our nuts and shoved them right between our legs and stopped. And from that point on, and it's an ego thing and a mental thing, we played not to lose. Flat out. And I will take you through my honest feelings. I was mad.
We can see these on Twitter as well, just so we're clear.
No, you couldn't see the feelings true blue. I was mad. I had the feelings of this guy doesn't get the rivalry. I don't care about Chip Kelly and his play calling. He's not from Ohio. He doesn't understand. And you can see the stats. Ohio coaches that were from Ohio winning. People who aren't John Cooper, Ryan Day, they don't have winning records. He doesn't get it. You don't. Who cares? Throw it all to the wind. Fuck it. So when we lost, I got up. I took a walk down the hall. I said, "Man, that sucks. 4 years in a row. This is terrible." You can ask my wife. I'll
At
bring
that
her in
pitch?
here.
No, I believe that's what you said. At that pitch,
Yep. Didn't scream. Didn't yell. Was
we
like
do have report that you handled it very maturely.
I was very angry, but I did. I was like, okay. Then the fight broke out. At that point, I watched it. I saw the flag. I saw the guys get mad. I saw him try again to put the flag in the ground. I was like, okay, this is kind of stupid. I saw people go to the dirt. I saw players getting hurt on both sides. I was like, this is ignorant. This is a blemish on the rivalry. Somebody needs to break this up. I saw Mr. Sharon Moore, I think is the Michigan coach.
Yeah.
He was involved in trying to get players out. And then they panned to the fucking coach of Ohio State, who stood there like a frozen fucking statue and mouthed what happened while his players ran to go help other players. That was it. I was done. Fire him. Fire him. Then I saw a video of Jack Sawyer being held back by another, not a coach. This guy was like a personnel analyst. He was saying, they're disrespecting our field for the fourth year in a row. I'm not going to let this happen. And Day stood there, frozen, with his hands in his pockets, not consoling his player who returned for his senior year when he could have gone to the draft, who has hurt his draft stock. Because Jack Sawyer was a stud his junior year. His stats have gone down. Hurt his stock. Didn't go to Jack and console him. Stood there and let some personnel manager just console his senior that returned for him, that in the week said, we're doing this for Ryan Day. Stood there. Fuck you, Ryan Day. Fire him. Because you're not a leader of men. You're a pussy.
You've met Ryan Day, yes?
Yes.
Did you say that to his face?
I will if I have to see him again.
Does anybody disagree that Jim will say that to his face?
Maybe not with that
I think we need to keep. I
Mr.
think we need
Vinegar
to
in his
keep Jim
voice.
as far away from Ryan Day as
I
humanly
promise
possible.
you I will.
I believe that wholeheartedly.
What
Jim,
he
what are you
did to
gonna do
those
if
kids,
this? What are you gonna do if this happens and they hire Neil Brown?
I would take it. I would take it. Because Neil Brown genuinely probably cares about his kids. He might suck as a coach, but what Ryan Day did yesterday was bad for the kids.
Yeah,
I don't care about the national title anymore. I don't care about the playoffs. I'm so mad at what his reaction to that fight that I just don't care anymore. That was horrible.
Yeah, I agree with you that it's a bad look for him just to stand there as everything happens. If anything, just run in there and like blend in.
Yep. Look like you're doing something. Look like you care. That was horrible. And like, so now I go through the mall today with the kids, and the Michigan fans come out in all amazing blue. I was wearing this Ohio State hoodie, Ohio State hat. I didn't care that they were wearing that stuff. They won. I'm not mad that they won. Portnoy's just laughing at us. I don't care. I'm mad at that reaction that he stood there. That's what I'm most fired up about.
That situation doesn't happen at the end of the game, where it doesn't get as out of control as it ended up being.
Yep.
Where's your anger, frustration compared to where you are now? If where you are now is a 10.
Oh, I'd be at like a 5 because it's,
Okay.
I'd be like, oh, we have the national title. It will suck because Michigan can say they have it. Like, we're a good team. It's a rivalry. I'd be making some cheap excuses on here, taking some ball busting. Like, it would be just a thing. Like,
Right.
we'd have an asterisk, whatever, but it'd be a national title, and I'd take it. You'd never hear me say anything about cheating again, but like, I would take it. When they panned to the camera and I saw him mouth, what happened? And he stood there. I've been through the roof ever since.
my first thought was what the f do you mean? What happened? And I'm not even
Right?
a state fan, and I was even like, is he gonna do anything?
I came
I
out
don't
of my
expect him
chair.
to get like punched in the mouth, but he could have gone out and done what like Sharon Moore did. Sharon Moore's just like, hey guys, back up because there might be something to seeing your head coach right there. Like, oh, maybe we really do gotta like
Do your
calm down.
part.
Like, no one's pulling me back from my team. I'm not gonna listen to Michigan's head coach telling me what to do. I'm mad about that. But like my leader's not out here saying get back, so I'm gonna keep going. I feel like honestly, and this could be like, revisionist history, whatever. Part of me says Ryan Day goes out there and that thing breaks up a lot quicker.
Sure. Even if it doesn't. If you'd have just gone and grabbed Jack Sawyer, who was having an emotional moment, put your arm around him and walk to the back, I'd have taken
Yeah.
it. Because like I was at a 10 when they said, what happened? I was mad. I was livid. And then I saw a tweet where it was Jack Sawyer grabbing a personnel guy by his shirt, explaining his emotion, and Ryan Day stood there and watched it and let his personnel guy catch the brunt of that fury instead of just going over, taking Jack, who came back for him, and say, Jack, come on, let's go. Like, you couldn't even bail out your own personnel guy. Like, who are you there for? And there's reports around Columbus that during the Michigan or the Penn State game, he was taking calls from NFL teams and other teams, and he's planning his exit strategy now. And we're all looking for the upside because there's recruits who are still committed to Ohio State. I don't care. I don't care. That man's character is in question. Now, I say all this, I'm big and angry, and this is my last comment. There are people who are leaking Ryan Day's address on Twitter, and they're putting death threats on Ryan Day. I do not fucking condone that. I don't wish any ill will on the man. That's fucking horrible. What he did as a man and as a coach and as a leader, terrible. As a human, I'm sure he's a fine guy. He's done a lot of great things, but he should not have death threats, nor should his family. This is football. Who the fuck cares? That's all I have to say, Muff.
We'll call him a pussy if he sees him.
I will call him a pussy straight to his face.
I won't physically harm him.
No doubt about it.
I will harass him, but
or
only
his family,
verbally. I will only verbally harass the
No
man.
doubt about it.
All right,
I'm
Alex.
I'm on the football game, not the everything else. My mind was blown. At the end of the first half, I thought this game's over because you guys started airing it out. You know what I mean? It
Yep.
reminded me of every other Ohio State game I've watched where I had a little bit of hope that someone would catch them,
Yep.
and then you guys play ball. And that's what I
Yep.
thought happened. Okay, Michigan comes out fired up. You guys come out maybe a little like like you can some good teams
Yep.
come out and it's almost like they're playing with emotion instead of their game. And I was like, all right, they're settled in now. This is about to be a rout. And then you just stopped doing what you did that worked and went back to what didn't work. And
We're back to just running.
I cannot. I was frustrated for you, and it wasn't necessarily. I wasn't really rooting for anyone. Kind of just a good game, I guess. But like, I was frustrated for you because
That whole third quarter, like,
yeah, it was weird. It
made
was
no sense
no, it was weird.
from both teams. Actually, like, I'll speak on the Michigan side. Like, what was that third quarter? It was just we're gonna keep doing the same thing for an entire quarter
It
over and
literally
over
got
again.
boring. It was like you guys were like bum 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 bum, and I'm like, somebody change what's going on because this is obviously not working for either of you.
Right, right. It was stupid. And there were missed calls. There was misholding calls on both ways. But if you know they're going to triple cover and hug Jeremiah when you throw him the ball, throw him the ball. He's either going to catch it because he has all year, or you're going to get the flag.
Yep.
Nope. We're going to put our Ferrari in the garage.
What do they call him? What's Gus Johnson call him? It's so fucking stupid. Money.
Maserati Mars.
No,
Marv?
Jeremiah has the name
no.
too, doesn't he?
Jeremiah
No,
was
I don't
doing
know.
big
I
money
stopped listening.
something or money on Pap or something like that. It
I
was
don't
something
know.
stupid.
Stupid. And then Gus tried to justify the flag planting.
No,
Yeah, he did.
I thought he was the one that was saying it was like
Joel did.
terrorist attack.
No. Gus was like, well, they planted the flag. That's why this fight's okay, kind of. And it was like, Joel's like, no.
Oh, I got what you're saying. They justified like the attacking because of the. Okay, I was gonna say I feel like he was in favor of Ohio State
Yeah, he
like
was.
fighting. Yeah,
And
that was
Joel's
weird.
like, it's a flag.
I was like, this is first of all way too biased reporting. Like when
Yeah.
he started acting like, you know what I mean? Like, I get it. I see. My answer to that was because my stepdad's a big Ohio State fan and he was fired up about like, he's like, that's disrespectful piece of shit. I'm like, Bruce, it's a bunch of 20-year-olds with testosterone raging through their systems, and you have one team that's on a complete and total high because they just upset a 23-point favorite. I said, you have another team that's pissed the F off because they just got upset as 23 point. I was like, so there's gonna be shit happen. I was like, they're not the first team to plant the flag. They won't be the last.
All
Is
day.
is it
Yeah,
something that
yeah,
maybe
that day.
yeah, it would have been nice if, their coach was like, hey, maybe a bad idea, maybe a bad idea. It might have been a little far, but it wasn't like the end of the world to me.
No.
If they would have just planted it and gone off the field, honestly, it would have been. And then Ohio State reacting, I'm also not really judging them because I'm telling you right now, I'm a competitive person. If that happened to me, I'd probably be the same way.
I
So I
think
don't fault either side. It's a shame that it happened that way because I do think it kind of muddies the waters of, okay, that got a little aggressive. And the fact that it took like pepper spray for these guys to break it up a little too far. But
yeah.
the fact that it's 20 something year old guys with testosterone raging through their systems with emotions
Yeah.
the highest they've probably ever been in their lives, either way, up or down, like things are going to happen.
I think the timing was horrible on Michigan's part. You want to plant the flag, you wait till Carmen, Ohio. Like,
Yeah,
if you know the rivalry, you wait till that's over,
I'll give you that.
and then you plant your flag.
Yeah.
You were in the middle of that. You knew they were coming. Like, you knew that was going to start a fire. Okay?
Yeah.
So then you plant your flag, you've done it, and then the flag gets, like, a fight breaks out, and then the guy who decides he wants to
Walk
beat
that
up
way.
around.
He didn't really do anything, but he walked. Maybe you could have walked the other way.
Right.
You were tempting. You were not doing anything necessarily wrong, but you weren't doing anything necessarily right.
Yeah, Jack Sawyer was going to get you. Like,
yeah,
that was going to happen. So
I will say I felt kind of bad for what's his name, the old receiver who picked up the flag, and I think he was just trying to get off the field.
Yeah.
Jason Avant.
Yeah. An NFL talent.
Yeah, and I will give him credit. I think he was really just trying to walk off the field when he got jumped. But
yeah.
Yeah.
Some people got hurt.
Oh yeah.
Both sides
There were
got
some
messed
people on the
up.
ground. On the
And that's
ground,
why I think
the mob mentality kicked in in some ways.
that's where I
I'm
got.
just glad this, excuse me, that this game was at Ohio State, not Michigan, because we know at Michigan they got to go up the same tunnel.
Oh, that'd have been terrible. Been terrible. But I think that was where again, in my timing, when the fight broke out, I was like, "Ooh!" I saw a body drop, and I was like, "I don't like this. Like, I don't care what they're fighting over. I don't like this because it looked like somebody was out."
I think they said somebody did get knocked out.
And
It could have
then,
been an over exaggeration, but
like, the whole fandom was out the window for me. And then I saw Ryan Day, and that's when my blood boiled.
So you know how at like basketball games they have like the security that immediately goes and creates a line so people can't rush the court.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Line. That's what's going to happen now. Is you're going to get security that goes to the 50-yard line,
yep.
so you can't do this shit again.
You should.
It's gonna be like they're guarding Sean Taylor's statue again.
I think you should. I think the 50, you should have that, especially rivalry week. I think that should be down the middle.
Oh, don't worry. We'll talk about it later. There were some end zone plants as well.
Yeah.
But all right, Nate, any other questions for Jim?
No.
Alex, any other questions for Jim?
I'll probably put Twitter away now, boys. So
I'm proud.
Tomorrow.
You handled it better than I expected, Jim. I was very worried at one point. I was like, please post something.
Full disclosure, Jim. We had a gym support group that was that's a side text on Saturday.
Every time we would post something, we'd like share it and be like, okay, good, he's still alive. Like, we don't want to bother you, but we just want to make sure that you're okay. Actually, I think it started with Muff saying, you guys are closer. I heard Muff, I was like, I'm in the woods. I'm going to need one of you two to drive to Columbus right now.
No, I mean, it
Somebody
was
look for a
okay.
smoke signal in the sky.
I was okay. I was okay. I think,
What?
thank God for my wife and kids.
Yeah, I got you.
They kept you in check by their presence.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
All right, I leave unless Jim wants to respond to this. As stated to me, a quote unquote reasonable Ohio State fan and a loyal listener uh, sent me this response when I asked. This is just about the game
Yeah.
and the outcome of the game. That says nothing to do with everything that happened afterwards, Jim. So this is a quote unquote reasonable fan, as stated to me. Um, Thank you, Tyler, for sending this. In this 12-team playoff era, everything is still in front of Ohio State. That was
Yeah.
Ryan Day's first loss against an unranked team in his time as a head coach.
Yep.
Terrible loss, inexcusable. He's not losing his job over it. Ohio State fans think this program is above everyone else, and they're not. They didn't win titles like people think they do. Urban won one title and was lucky he got in the playoff that year to do so. He
Yep.
also lost games by multiple touchdowns to Purdue and Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan Day is a missed field goal away from a national championship. If you think it starts and ends with the Michigan game, then sure, fire him. For me, in this era of college football, I just don't think that game is a season ruiner like it would have been in the past, even last year. Now, if they go out and lose in the first round of the playoff, it could get a little ugly. Um, I'm on the be careful what you wish for boat with this whole thing. You'll lose studs in the portal, you lose recruiting classes. You want Mike Vrabel? That dude would definitely not buy into the NIL stuff that goes with recruiting these days. It's a slippery slope just wanting to tear down the whole program. And closing, also a huge one for me. People want to say how bad Day is against Michigan, then bring up how Harbaugh started 0-5 in that game, then won three straight. They then come back with, well, he cheated, those don't count. So they don't count for Harbaugh winning, but you use them against Day for your argument on why he should be gone. Can't have it both ways.
No, that's a very fair take. I think if I hadn't seen what he did at the end of that game, I could stomach that pill a little easier. That doesn't mean I could get it down. I could just stomach it. I think I I was around like I saw my dad deal with John Cooper in the 90s.
Mhm.
And the Michigan loss sucks. And so yeah, for me, the program lives and dies on that Michigan thing. Like national titles are great. That's what we're playing for. It's what every team's playing for. But every time you win like if Ohio State wins the national title this year, a Michigan fan can come out of the woodwork and say, "But you didn't beat us," and that to me is terrible, like absolutely dog shit. So like I can't do it. I would like to see Ryan Day. I understand the recruiting, the NIL, the whole thing falls to shit. I agree. I'm okay with it. If I never lose, if I go X and or one and X, and that one is Michigan, okay, that's how much it means to me.
Got it.
That's my
I leave
response.
with this is my thought. Um, what if Ryan Day is it there for a year or two longer, whatever his buyout and everything is? What if he were to stay on as like general manager of the football program like Andrew Luck is doing? Since obviously he does something okay in the recruiting
I
situation.
don't think he does.
Okay.
Hartline's got the receivers. He brings them all in. I don't think he'll go if you bring an Ohio State guy there. Uh, what's his face for the line is not bringing much anymore. Laurinaitis isn't going anywhere. What does Ryan Day like? What does he bring to the table?
Potentially donors.
I don't. That
I
was
don't.
gone.
I'm saying potentially.
I don't think he brings anything to the table. I could be wrong. I'm not in Columbus. I'm not in the know. But I can tell you, like, the owners don't want to lose to Michigan.
Right.
So I think that truck has left the station.
All right. That was my only thought.
I think the issue, I think he's right on Vrabel. I don't think Vrabel's going to buy into any of that shit. I think like Marcus Freeman, maybe, and Eddie George sure as fuck would. He's good. He could be the Deion Sanders up here in Ohio. You know, I don't know. I know I don't want to lose to Michigan. That's what I know.
Okay.
Period.
All right. Let's jump into the top 25 action. Oregon takes out Washington 49-21. Will now play Penn State in the Big Ten championship game on Saturday night in Indianapolis. We'll move on to some of the championship games later. Texas beats Texas A&M Saturday night football 17-7. Texas now in the SEC championship game. Texas A&M out.
Yeah.
Notre Dame beats USC 49-35.
Good job on them. There's some punches thrown in that one.
Yeah. There was no plant flag planting,
That was
but
Definitely some
there
swinging.
was
No, but
skirmish
there
though.
was a fist planted.
that was a helmet punch, Nate.
There was a helmet
I
punch,
listened
Nate.
to you. It was full face mask punch.
Wild, wild.
What did we learn there? Nothing. That hurts your hand.
I don't know. That guy looked like he had some pretty intense hand protectors on.
Yeah. And I think it came at him with enough force. It definitely made its point.
Yeah, I think he proved a point, maybe to both of them, himself and the person who was hit.
Yes.
Uh, big upset in the ACC. Syracuse takes out number 6 Miami 42-38.
Yeah, Miami hurts themselves. I don't Miami had a chance to be a good team this year. And I'm not saying they weren't a good team, but like
They were
self
always on the fringe.
like yeah, but I just feel like it was because of constant like self implosion, if that makes sense. Like
Yeah.
stupid stuff.
Yeah. This obviously had huge implications for the ACC championship game, as Syracuse head coach said in the post game, where
Kyle McCord dropped some shade at Ohio State.
I did not hear that.
He was like, they asked him straight out, like, you won and knocked Miami like out of the ACC, and Ohio State lost today. And I don't remember what exactly he said, but like what goes around comes around, or karma's whatever. It was something along those or whatever. But
Basically, life's full circle.
yeah, oh yeah, comes full circle. That was it. I couldn't remember.
Yeah.
I was like, ooh,
Miami now not playing in the ACC championship game. We'll talk after about where we think the college football playoff picture stands going into conference championship week. Georgia beats Georgia Tech 44-42 in an 8 overtime thriller matchup. of the century.
Yeah, if you're a referee.
Hey, may I speak?
Go ahead, Alex.
This game annoyed the piss out of me.
Yeah, it did.
This game is annoying because for some reason, well, all we could say after this game was, "Oh my God, gritty Georgia, go Georgia! Can't believe you pulled that one out." I'm like, they barely beat Georgia Tech. Like
If you win, you're in the playoffs.
any other team does this, and we're like, "Wow, they almost dropped the ball there."
Yep.
Not
Yep.
one time have I heard any outlet come out and say, "Wow, Georgia was lucky to squeak by." Like that's crappy going into the playoffs that you were playing down to a Georgia Tech team. If this
Mm-hmm.
was Penn State, we'd be hearing all about how Penn State's not even a real team. They almost lost to Georgia Tech from all these outlets. If it's Ohio State, we're hearing, "Ooh, are we a little nervous that Ohio State?" Blah, blah, blah. But for some reason, Georgia has become this untouchable whatever. Be it the fact that they're a team full of felons, we don't talk about that or care about that. We just let that roll under the carpet. Now they almost lose to a Georgia Tech, and we're like, "Oh, they're so gritty. Look at the way they ground that one out." I'm like,
Alex, relax. All their players are just in the NASCAR major.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It just annoyed me, to be honest. I'm like, you know what? No, I'm like, give Georgia Tech their flowers. Like, why we're not talking about Georgia Tech having a great game against their rival and almost knocking off Georgia. We're talking about how Georgia gritted it out and beat Georgia Tech. Like, go after yourselves.
Yeah, I agree with
All
you.
right, I
Too.
think Jim's energy is like transferring to me a little bit. Like you need to move our pictures around on the
Yeah,
screen.
you know what, Alex? That game was all about good, clean hate. If we didn't hear that enough in that game.
I know, and it's like it is, but is it like when I think good clean hate, I think more of like the game, or I think of Texas A&M. Like that's a hateful game. You know what I mean? Like I don't Georgia Tech. Like I'm sure there is, but like, what I mean, yeah, okay. Georgia Bama is more of a hate filled game than Georgia Tech. But whatever, I digress. I just had to put that out there. That annoyed the piss out of me, in case you couldn't tell.
Couldn't. Jim, you alluded to referee concerns.
Oh, I think there were some very questionable calls. Very questionable calls. I think the fix was in to get Georgia all the way to the playoffs. That was just my.
They called in Pat Mahomes, guys.
It was bad. When the
uh,
announcers are like, "If they win, they're in the playoffs." You still have to get to a championship game, dickheads. Like what?
Regardless of what happened to that game, they were in the SEC championship.
yeah.
But you have to get through it. Like you don't
Mhm.
get. You're not in the playoffs yet. We're gonna
Well,
put
with
a.
that win, I think we all know they are now.
Not with that attitude, you're not, Jim.
We're gonna put a three-loss team in if they lose the Texas.
You never know if it depends on how they lose.
All right,
If it's a walk-off field goal, maybe.
all right.
I think we'll get into this. We've got a
But
lot
the
of scenarios to
announcers
play.
thought if they just beat Georgia Tech, they're in.
No, no, I agree with the announcers right now. Just full disclosure. There's only so many teams that can win and in right
All right,
now.
Muff. If they beat Georgia Tech, you thought if they beat Georgia Tech, they were
Automatically,
locked in.
they're in. I don't care what happens to the SEC championship game. They're locked in.
Ooh, Muff.
Locked in, buddy.
That's wild.
Tennessee beats Vanderbilt 36-23. This was a little shaky early on, and then Tennessee just poured it on.
I I'm still reeling from your last comment. So
SMU beats Cal 38-6. SMU now in the ACC title game against Sad,
Dabo.
Sad Dabo. Happy Dabo Day. Clemson.
eh,
I know I'm skipping a couple games here, but Clemson loses to South Carolina 17-14. Sad Dabo. And then once Syracuse knocked off Miami, happy Dabo. It's now Clemson takes on SMU
he'll get beat.
for an opportunity to play in the playoff.
He'll
After
get beat.
it's one of those games. That's why they play the game. Indiana beats Purdue 66-0. Alex, I think you saw something here,
Uh,
or maybe I saw something and I thought that you had shared it with me.
no, I don't think I share anything with you.
This was the Kurt Signetti being uppity about Ohio State scoring at the end of the game, and then I think scoring with less than 30 seconds left, up 59-0 on Purdue.
That was a
He had to. Like I think Ohio State taught him the rules of engagement, and then he understands the assignment. Like, I don't have a problem with that. You lost to Ohio State, your strength of schedule is going to drop. I mean, at that point, if Ohio State had won, your rules of engagement are you need to show the fuck out. I don't. Good for you. If you could have put 100 on them, you should have.
I don't know if they could have, but they sure put enough on them. 66-0. Boise State over Oregon State, 34-18. Boise State now in their conference championship game against UNLV.
And this is one of those conferences where they get to host the conference championship game.
Yes.
It's on a neutral site.
Nice.
So that means Boise State could potentially host 2 games in a row, depending on how things shake out. Correct?
Mhm.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Alabama beats Auburn 28-14 in the Iron Bowl.
I don't have much to say about these games, Muff. I stopped
No,
watching.
that's fair. Ole Miss beats Mississippi State 26-14.
Yay, Lane Kiffin, said Jim.
Had I been watching, yeah.
said Jim.
Yay, Lane. Arizona State beats Arizona 49-7. Will now play in the Big 12 championship game against
Not Colorado?
Correct.
State. It's
why?
Iowa State, Arizona State.
Is it Iowa State, Arizona State, not BYU?
Yes.
It's Iowa State, Arizona State.
All right. I didn't know all the other situations. I knew Arizona State was in.
It's in the notes.
That's
No, in the script. There'll be no scripts on the night.
their scripts. Tulane beats Memphis 24, or Memphis beats Tulane, sorry, 34-24. Knocking
That's a
Tulane
big
out of
deal.
knocking Tulane out of the picture.
Yep.
Iowa State beats Kansas State 29-21. These are the good versions or bad versions of these teams that showed up, Alex. Do you know?
I would say the good versions, I think, showed up against each other for the most part. And I think when that happens, this is the outcome to be expected.
Why does Ohio State have to be the dumb fucks who caused all this? God, fuck.
BYU beats Houston 30-18.
Grieving.
That was the game, Alex, if Houston won that Colorado was in.
Correct.
That was the linchpin to the Colorado puzzle, and that was the last game of the evening. Missouri beats Kansas 28-21.
Good for them. Good for them.
Alex, Missouri, good. Thumbs up.
Meh, I mean,
You're like a
come
Missouri
on.
fan.
I know I'm like a Missouri fan. They kind of annoyed me this year.
All right.
That's the win they needed to cap off the season.
Yeah, that's good. It's good for them.
All right. UNLV beats Nevada 38-14. Illinois takes out Northwestern 38-28.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And Colorado beat Oklahoma State 52-0.
Strictly for stats.
Oklahoma State 0 in the Big 12, Alex?
I think so.
I think they were the favorite, returning
Yes.
21 of 22 starters go
Yep.
0 in their conference slate.
I'll take Gundy in Ohio State.
Horrible.
Give me him.
After
Would
tanking
a
team he
mullet
had
fit
this year.
Columbus?
Yeah, it would. His attitude would be great, and he'd understand the rivalry, I think.
He'd understand. He'd understand something.
I don't think he'd do the NIL thing very well, though.
Yeah, I feel like he's a little behind on that.
Yeah.
All right, brings us to our conference championship slate for the upcoming weekend. Friday football in Conference USA, we have the Hilltoppers of Western Kentucky
Hilltoppers.
taking on
Toppers.
Jacksonville State, 7 p.m. on CBS Sports Network. Jacksonville State head coach. Is that who I think it is? Is that Rich Rod?
Yep.
Get it.
Alex,
There's your new coach, Alex.
bring him back.
You know,
Bring him
of
back.
people- a lot of people talk about that. That being said, I don't think that's the move here. I think that I'm not high on that option.
Oh, you'd take him.
His loyalty wavered too much at the end for me.
I
I
bet
don't
he'd show up
think
in a
that-
fist fight, though.
I don't think he's a bad coach, but his loyalty is a question, and that to me is an issue.
I bet he'd show up in a fist fight.
In the Mountain West, UNLV taking on Boise State, 8 p.m. on Fox. Friday Night Football. And last, in the American Athletic Conference, Army versus Tulane, 8 p.m. ABC.
If UNLV beats Boise, does that do anything?
It would most likely make them the highest seeded non-power, or yeah, non-power four.
Got it.
I think that would be that. Yeah, does that sound right? I don't think there's anybody else that could overtake them at this point, is there? No. I think the
These
winner of that becomes the highest ranked. Yeah.
No, Notre Dame would be.
No, Notre Dame is not a conference champion.
Oh yeah, yeah. My fault.
Yeah, that's the
They fuck with
distinction.
me.
Yep, Notre Dame's the outlier in all this. And Saturday, we start with the day of noon kick, Big 12 championship game, Iowa State, Arizona State.
I say Arizona State wins this one.
They're definitely the trendy pick right now.
their coach Jim would show up in a fist fight.
Yeah, they would.
Oh, he would be in the fist fight, I'm pretty sure.
Let's go.
But I didn't see him. I didn't see him coming out in the flag planting situation this weekend. Well, that one was resolved pretty quickly, I think. Um, in the MAC, we have Ohio taking on Miami of Ohio, noon on ESPN.
Maction
Action, all Ohio football, Jim.
No,
in
best
Michigan,
thing to happen.
Where is it, Nate?
Detroit.
In Detroit. Ohio squares off in Detroit. In the
Sure.
SEC, 4 p.m., ABC, Texas taking on Georgia.
Round 2.
Is round 2. In the Sun Belt, Louisiana Lafayette, the Raggin' Caggins taking on the Thundering Herd of Marshall. 7:30 on ESPN.
Let's go, Marshall.
Agree.
Alex,
I agree.
how did they sneak in under the radar?
Because they're the best team in West Virginia.
Because they upset I don't know if it's an upset, but they beat JMU.
Okay.
Best team in West Virginia.
Did not know how that came under the radar. In the ACC, we have Clemson taking on SMU.
SMU.
We knew that was your pick, Jim.
Mhm.
In the Big Ten, Penn State takes on Oregon in Indianapolis, 8 p.m. on CBS.
Quack, quack. Let's go. Sorry, Muff.
We have a 3.5-point line. That was the first line I saw in that
Let's
game.
go, Oregon. All day. All day.
Jim can fuck right off.
Hey, buddy. You see the way the bracket's probably going to land? All day. Need that to happen. Yes, please.
Are you worried about Ohio State not getting in?
Yes.
Jesus, you were such a. This is the sky is falling on your college football playoff, and I don't understand why.
I just need it to happen. Okay.
All right.
I don't care. You know what? I don't care.
You
How
did
about
say you
that?
didn't care
I don't
earlier.
give a
Now
shit.
you very much care.
I don't care. I don't care. That's the sickness. I don't care. I'm gonna stick to my guns.
Nate, Alex, do we think Jim still cares?
A little bit.
I think he still cares.
I think you're gonna care, Jim. It's okay.
I'm not gonna care.
Just don't care to the point where you have an aneurysm. That's all we ask.
I don't care. I'm gonna stop caring.
All right. Our college football playoff discussion. So last week we had our 12 teams composed of the following. We had 3 teams from the SEC, Texas, Georgia, Tennessee. 4 teams from the Big Ten, Oregon, Ohio State, Penn State, Indiana. The Big 12 champion, which we were going out to say was going to be Arizona State. We had 2 teams from the ACC, SMU and Miami. And our non-Power 5 conference champion was going to be Boise State plus Notre Dame as the independent getting in. Now, let's see how we feel going into conference championship weekend. Let's start with the SEC.
Those 3 are fine.
Yeah, those 3 aren't going anywhere.
Going into the championship. I agree with those 3.
Big Ten, we had 4. I think that remains unchanged.
I think it will be 2.
Sure.
Jim,
I don't care.
you, but you disagree because you just said that you're worried about Ohio State.
I think there is a scenario.
But this is after the championship weekend.
Yeah, but going into it,
Yes.
I think that holds true.
Okay. Big 12, we still think it's just the conference champion.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think that's going to remain unchanged no matter who wins, whoever that is gets in, whoever loses is out. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
ACC. This could be where we start to lose some stuff. I think that right now we're only going to have one ACC team, and that's going to be
I
the
don't
conference.
think so.
I think we will have. Well, I think Miami stays in. We'll see where they fall when the rankings come out on Tuesday. But I think they're the ones that are on the bubble.
I think they'll put Clemson and SMU in there.
I think Clemson only gets in if they win.
Yeah, but one of those teams has to lose this week, Jim.
If SMU were to lose that game, do we think they stay in or do they go?
I personally think, even if we're talking about right now or next week, I still think there's only one ACC team that would get in.
Hmm.
That's my personal opinion.
Just the conference champion?
I think whoever that conference championship team is the only ACT representation.
How many losses does Clemson have?
I think 3.
Yeah, I think 3.
Yes, if Clemson loses, they're done. They got to win to get in, I think.
Yeah, and if they win, they knock
SMU only has 1 loss. Miami has 2.
Right. That's what I think that they're only going to get their conference championship team in.
I think they're.
Honestly, I think if Clemson were to win, you can make the argument. I mean, record wise doesn't make sense, but who is Indiana beaten?
Right. That's what I'm saying is I think there's a scenario where Penn State beats Oregon. Okay. That knocks Indiana out. Clemson beats SMU. 2 ACC teams make it in.
How does let's roll through. Do we think ACC right now? We still think 1 or we think 2?
I think 2. Today it's 2.
Today I think it's 2. What 2? I think that's where the debate is, but
no, if it's 2, it's some combination of SMU, Miami, and Clemson. It's some combination
today,
of those 2.
Right now, if you're beat today, it would be the conference champion in Miami, which I think will be SMU and Miami.
Today, yeah, I go with that if we're talking about today. After championship weekend, I think Miami's out.
And then do we still think Boise? There's going to be a representation from the non-power 5. It's either going to be Boise or
UNLV.
Right? Whoever wins that,
right?
That's who it's going to be. And then we have Notre Dame.
But you're saying today. If it's today, it's got to be Boise.
Well, Notre or UNLV,
it's going to be representation
UNLV
from that
would
conference.
be up there too if they were to win. Because they were like 20 or 22 or somewhere in that area coming into.
You got to take the highest. Like if we're talking about today, you take the highest ranked.
Right, which they would be higher ranked, I think, than Tulane if Tulane beats Army.
They should be because they'll have that win. So that's what I'm saying. It's
Boise
Muff. Right now. It's Boise right now.
Right. You have to put Boise right now.
Right. It's going to be that conference champion. It's going to be whatever. And then we have Notre Dame.
Right.
So that's our 7, 8, 10, 12.
Yeah.
Now, let's just play the hypothetical game. We'll get as far into this as we feel to get into. I want you to start out, Jim, by explaining this Indiana gets out.
I think there's a scenario, and this is like real crazy. I think there's a scenario where Penn State beats Oregon. I think that knocks Indiana out.
How does that one game knock Indiana out when there's nobody being pushed out of the top 12 of those 2 teams?
Because Oregon would drop. They have to drop.
But they would not drop out of the top 12.
But they have to drop to a certain degree, right?
They just wouldn't be a top 4.
That doesn't push Indiana out anywhere.
Everybody goes cascades down.
Everyone cascades up from wherever Oregon drops down to. Not everybody's going to get dropped down.
Muff.
Indiana only drops out in that scenario, Jim, if they drop behind Indiana or there's not being pushed. Oregon's in front of Indiana now and would stay in front of Indiana. It's not nobody dropping. That game is not going to make Indiana drop out. Other things could. That game won't.
I think, in my opinion, you asked me my opinion. My opinion is Penn State beats Oregon. Indiana is susceptible. Like if Georgia beats Texas too.
There's the ifs. The
You
Penn
it's a
State.
hypothetical situation. I'm telling you a hypothetical situation.
You just said it. You said if Penn State beats Oregon, Indiana's out. That's all you said.
Did you let me finish my fucking situation before you started getting all up in arms? I think if Clemson wins and Georgia wins and Penn State wins, I think that's a scenario where they go, sorry, Indiana.
Who's knocking
I
them
don't think
out?
they like 4 Big Ten teams in there. I
Well,
don't.
I still don't know who's knocking them out.
Those 4 scenarios. It's a committee. That's who's doing it.
Who gets in above them?
So, Jim, Indiana theoretically right now is in based on their ranking. So, who would come up in the ranking to knock Indiana out?
Yeah. That's what has to happen. All of those teams are above them, so that's just jockeying in the top 10.
I can see them putting a Bama in there or a Miami.
Well, we'll see Miami. We will actually know this Miami situation after the rankings come out this week. Right. We'll actually have that decided.
I think Miami has a better chance to get in with 2 losses than a 3-loss Ole Miss or a 3-loss Alabama.
Why?
Because, I mean, you've had 2 losses. You were ranked in the top 10. Meanwhile, Bama was outside the top 12 coming into the week, right? Weren't they like 13, 14? So why are you going to punish Miami for a close loss in conference as their second conference loss and second loss overall just to put Alabama in, who has 1 more loss?
Yeah, and I mean, my argument was going to be, do you look at all at like the teams that they've played? But realistically, I guess Alabama, I mean, losing to Oklahoma is a pretty bad loss.
Indiana hasn't beaten anyone.
But I think the fact that they're 10-1,
Yeah,
we're number 10, there would have to be chaos to happen for them to fall out.
Yeah, I think the scenario that causes the most chaos in this whole situation, UNLV beats Boise State because UNLV is probably not going to climb into the top 12, which means they are going to be kicking a team out of that top 12.
Do we think if Boise State loses to UNLV, Boise State's out?
Yes, they're going to be what, like 8 or 9 right now?
Well, then they just switch spots.
UNLV is not going to take whatever Boise State spot is just because they won that conference championship.
Well, wouldn't they just take someone's spot and bump everyone else up? And Boise State would fall out?
Right. I don't think UNLV can jump from
Boise State
22 to 12.
Right.
Well, if Boise State's in the top 12
it's the 4 highest conference champions get the bye. Like Boise was ranked number 11 in the rankings coming in. So if Boise loses, Boise's done.
Right. That's what I'm saying. UNLV would not jump into the top 12. So there really is a team getting pulled out.
UNLV would be the conference champ, but they wouldn't be one of the top 4.
They wouldn't be one of the top 12 either. That's what I'm saying.
UNLV,
that's what actually
UNLV is basically playing a play-in game to get in.
Right. But that would force a team out of the top 12 because you're saying they're not top 12, but they get a spot from the top 12.
The team would get knocked out of the top 12 plus Boise getting knocked out of the top 12.
So that could be maybe part of that Indiana discussion, Jim. Clemson could also come in and screw this up a bit.
This is what I have.
All right.
This is who I have in today. I have Oregon, Clemson, Texas, Boise.
Wait, today? We just talked about this today.
As my hypothetical.
Okay, so this is next week. Hypothetically next week.
Oregon, Clemson, Texas, Boise. Getting the buys.
Okay.
Georgia, Tennessee, Penn State, Arizona State, Ohio State, Indiana, Notre Dame, SMU.
Who did you have a non-power 5? You said Boise?
Notre Dame.
No, Notre Dame doesn't count.
Boise.
Boise would be a non-power 5.
Okay, I was trying to listen through it. I just didn't hear it. Boise.
That's what I have.
So Clemson takes over SMU spot, and everything else remains unchanged from what we just talked about.
Right.
Arizona State was still your Big 12 team.
Yes.
Okay.
The only chaos I have
Clemson.
is if Oregon and Penn State flip. So then Oregon would go to 5, Penn State would go to number 1 in the country.
No,
No.
Texas would take that spot.
So Texas takes that spot. Penn State goes to number 2.
I'm going to say they probably end up as the two-team, a one-loss Big Ten champ, probably. Yeah.
So in that scenario, this is why I think the playoff committee starts shitting their pants, right? Because Ohio State would be 7, Indiana would be 10. Those two play each other and come out and play Penn State.
Wait, say it again. You're talking second round matchup?
Yeah. So you'd have a whole Big Ten bracket in the first and second round.
There's going to be these possibilities.
They're not going to let that happen.
I'm not going to say all Big Ten now.
They're not going to let that happen. But that's a scenario that we're talking about.
I don't think Indiana is going to stay at 10.
Where are they going to go?
They're likely in. They could either potentially jump up to 9 or down to 11 or 12. I think they're 9 to 12. And that's what I'm saying. UNLV is the situation that screws this whole thing up. To me.
I wish I could share screen here. I really do. Can I share screen?
Is that a request?
Yes.
You can.
Okay.
Didn't even have to ask.
Thank you.
It was already available.
Do you see it?
I see it.
This is a scenario that I think is the best fit today.
Who's your Boise State? So Penn State loses the Big Ten championship game and only falls to 6 in the rankings.
They fall to 5.
They fall to 6 in the overall rankings
Okay, sure. Yeah.
because
Yep.
Clemson and actually they may fall to 7 because Clemson and Boise are probably not going to be ranked higher than Penn State, even if Penn State loses.
So then
would be my
Ohio
guess.
State would bump them.
Bump who?
Penn State.
No, you're looking at Clemson at 4 is not Clemson's college football playoff ranking. That is their
That is
conference
their
championship
conference
ranking.
championship. Right. I understand.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is you're saying I think Penn State is actually in this case Penn State is actually a 7 college football ranking. Ohio State would be a 9 college football ranking.
Correct. Fine.
Indiana would be 12.
I'm glad I'm not on this committee.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot. I mean,
And what I'm telling you is if Penn State in this scenario, if we took Penn State and Oregon
mhm.
and we switch the outcome, then what?
Penn State's at 2. Doesn't necessarily mean that Ohio State and Indiana remain unchanged because they'll potentially look at strength of schedule, blah blah blah.
And then they move it all around?
Yeah, not all
Yeah.
around, but they just one change puts either Ohio State, Indiana, or SMU or whatever in a whole different situation.
That's stupid.
What's
And
stupid
this-
that the committee has that much autonomy over this? That's been a discussion all around. That's not new.
So the only real thing that matters is the conference champions.
Uh, Yeah, the conference championship is the only thing that we know definitively does X, Y, and Z. I think this year we're going to fully understand the weight that the committee puts on the conference champions and puts on losers in conference championship games. I think that's the biggest thing that we're
Yep.
going from this is how does the committee weigh conference championship losses towards their playoff ranking? Because we're not just talking about top four anymore. We're talking about 12. So the seedings matter.
All right.
All right. I'm not going to go into that question. Heisman Trophy. I'm just going to get into the odds. We've talked a lot about college football. Um, Travis Hunter, far and away favorite, minus 10,000. Ashton Genty at plus 2,300. Then we have Dylan Gabriel, Curtis Rourke, Jalen Milrow, and Shadur Sanders, plus Cam Ward at plus 50,000. And I just tops in there Cameron Scatabo, Arizona State, potentially maybe the most valuable player to his team in the country right now. Not even on the odds. Travis Hunter got it locked up. There's no way nothing else can happen right now.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, but I disagree that he should get it.
He got his cardio in and did his work.
Why do you disagree so much, Nate?
Because I just don't think the contributions are there. It's like, yeah, he's playing both ways, but I don't feel like he is such a difference maker that they're making him out to be on either side of the ball.
Who do you
So
think?
yeah, give me somebody else.
I mean, I still think Ashton Genty for what he's doing at a small school, theoretically, but not being a power four, and what he's meant to his team. I think Colorado would be fine without Travis Hunter. Whereas if you take Ashton Genty off that
Ooh.
team, they are a completely different team, and we're not even talking playoffs with them.
I don't know that I agree that they would be fine with
I
that.
just think Travis Hunter is overhyped.
He's about to be a top 10 NFL draft pick.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know.
and he's not, and I don't think he's going to be what he thinks he's going to be. Oh, I'm going to play both ways or whatever. It's like, all right, Dion wannabe.
I
Well, we can't say somebody's not Heisman Trophy worthy because of what we think they're going to do in the pros.
Oh no, I think
How
he's
many
worthy
Heisman
of getting
Trophy
that. I
winners
just don't
have?
think he's worthy to be the winner.
Okay.
I don't think his numbers are there.
You know,
I don't. I have you seen his numbers?
Yeah, they don't speak to me.
They don't speak to you. What would speak to
No,
you, Nate?
like
What two-way numbers would
Yeah,
speak
I'm
to you?
sorry.
I get it. He's got the touchdowns. He's got the production as far as like how many snaps, but like, I mean, he's not like in the top of his team in tackles. Like, sure, he's got a few interceptions or whatever. Like, I don't know. I think he's just okay. He's a two-way player and he's good, but it's not like he's a dominant player. Like, he's not a game wrecker, in my opinion. Ashton Genty's a game wrecker.
Who's played nobody?
You can only play the games that are on your schedule. That's not his fault.
They played Oregon. They played Oregon tight. If they would have won against Oregon and he had a big game there, I think we may have a different conversation. He's not having a historic season, right? He's nowhere near Barry Sanders. He started off on that pace, and I think he's rode that to the end. Unfortunately, he could not put up the numbers he needed to truly get the attention. I think Travis Hunter, you take him off that team has two or three more losses.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not
I
saying
don't
that
like the kid.
I'm not saying that Boise State wouldn't have more losses without Ashton Genty, but I think that program has always found a way.
I don't like the kid. I don't want him in my heart to win it.
Listen, he
But
couldn't even be a Jim Thorpe finalist, but we want to give him the Heisman.
but if you see those stats, that's bullshit. That he's not a finalist. Like, and this is from a fan of Caleb Downs. Like, you put
Who
the
should win?
stats of what, the Heisman or the
No, not Downs for Heisman, Downs for Thorpe.
I don't think he should win. When you compare the stats, I did it myself. I was like, oh, screw Hunter, Caleb Downs all the way, and then I pulled the stats, and I was like, well, I don't know. I think he did get kind of screwed. Like, the
I don't know.
kid's got the stuff.
I don't know. I think just the way he goes about his business too is what pisses me off.
Well, see, there we go. You're on the Alex train now. Just because the way you go about your business doesn't mean your business is not getting done.
Oh no, I mean his business is getting done, but don't want to complain you didn't get on some finals finalist list and say, "Oh, we haven't seen someone like me do this." Blah blah blah. It's like to me, it's almost back to the point where it's like that shut up and dribble day. Like I just want to look at Travis Hunter and say, "Shut up and play football. Act like you've been there before."
Well, unfortunately, that is not the era of any sport that we're in right now.
For real.
Um, in any walk, no matter which level we're talking about, maybe in high school, maybe you can get away with that in the high school
We
situation
have
right
some
now, but
squeaky rocking chairs on the porches today,
but
boys.
NIL and all of
Hey,
that,
it's
I
cold,
don't
Jim.
think
That's why.
Yeah.
guys you guys have some freezing cold takes today. Freezing cold takes. Flag planting. We're gonna get into this quick as quickly as we can.
Yeah.
Um, Michigan, Ohio State, we obviously already talked about that.
I
Um,
didn't touch on the pepper spray. I just want to touch on the pepper spray for a hot minute.
Alex
Uh,
mentioned it and it did not go any further.
uh, there was a very large chunk of times where they thought that only Michigan players were pepper sprayed. Everybody got pepper sprayed.
Yeah,
The Popo got everybody with reckless abandon.
you could see it in it on the video. Actually, he's just
Yeah,
and then the one guy throws his hat.
yeah.
He's my favorite. Like I don't think he even threw it at anyone. I think he was just mad. He just threw it.
It was just reckless. So I just wanted to put that out there. The pepper spray was.
It was
I don't
equal
think
opportunity pepper spraying.
he might even got his fellow friends.
There was there wasn't just collateral damage, there was friendly fire.
He was just like big guys everywhere. It was bad.
Both schools fined $100,000, eh? It's the first I saw
Yeah.
that.
Herb
Uh,
Street wants the commissioner to. I just read this like as we were recording. Herb Street wants the commissioner of the Big Ten to, and this is why Herb Street's hated in Columbus, to pull the video, figure out who was in it, and sit whoever was involved for their next game, regardless of when the next game is.
Yeah, I mean, there needs to be some sort of accountability there, and just slapping them on the wrist for 100,000 as a program isn't going to get anything done.
Yeah, I don't know where I stand on that, but yeah, I agree with your take there.
we will see. There's going to be something. I don't know what it's going to be, but there's going to be something more somewhere. And if there's not, then it's been condoned at this point. Um, NC
How do
State,
you do that as the Big Ten commissioner and you have
I
your?
don't know what the message needs to be. I'm just saying $100,000 is not going to get a point across.
I don't think they're doing it for the playoffs. I just don't.
Yeah, I'm not saying that they're going to. I'm merely saying $100,000 fine is not going to stop this from happening in the future.
Do a year-long investigation.
They might. NC State UNC. We had a scuffle between the players as UNC stopped NC State from planting a flag in the field and then attempted to throw the flag into the stands. Keep in mind, this was Mac Brown's final regular season game. They didn't make the bowl, so this is his final game.
I thought there were 6 wins.
Do they have 6 wins? So I haven't been
I thought
invited
they
to
were,
the bowl yet.
I thought they were 6-6.
All right. I don't. I still don't think it's been confirmed that he's going to coach in a bowl game, though.
Doubtful.
So, Florida State. We actually had the flag placed into the ground because it is a grass field. Fight ensued. Coaches were very involved in this one.
I didn't see much of this one.
Neither did I. I
This
saw
was the
like
one that
a
actually
coach
I saw the
were
flag
able to do
actually
the
get
deed.
planted.
Yeah, the flag actually got into the ground.
I will give
Uh-oh.
Michigan the only credit that they held on to the flag. Like I think they planted and then like held on to it. Like some people plant it and let it fall on the ground, and that's always like, what are you doing?
It's because it's not a natural field.
Yeah, well, no, I know, but at least they like held on to it, like knowing that it's not going. It was the act of pretend. You know what I mean?
Right. And lastly, we had Arizona State, where we had the pitchfork being placed into the end zone. It looked like grass, but I'm not sure if it was. This seemed to be the least contentious of all of the planting episodes over the weekend,
There
as
was
it
a
was.
total war from Pitchfork after.
There was a little something in the Texas A&M where all the Texas players start going towards the 50-yard line, and Sarkisian got him away there quickly.
He did. So there was about to be something, and then there was not something.
Right.
I'm just gonna say my piece, and then let everybody else go. This obviously was an issue, a concern, something that continued to come up on Saturday. I think that the NCAA and the conferences need to make some type of stance. We either let people storm the field, let the players demonstrate by doing things like this, or just somehow ban all celebrations of fun. Uh, if we
All
let
celebrations of fun.
whatever we're going to say that is, and if we let fans or the players do these demonstrations, these storming the fields, these plant flaggings, then you have to be okay with the ugly outcomes, like players fighting, fans, players getting pushed, the mobs that ensue. I don't know what college football, the NCAA, and these conferences want. Do they want this fun stuff at the end, or do we not? I don't know, but something's got to give.
Fair.
I stayed by my point earlier that I think it's going to come down to there's going to be increased security at these games, and they're going to go to the 50-yard line to get rid of this whole flag planting bullshit. I don't know. Thanks, Baker Mayfield, for starting this shit.
That's his contribution.
Mhm. um,
That's your quarterback, Nate.
yeah, well, oh well.
Any other thoughts on flag planting?
No.
We've had enough throughout. Other news: Andrew Luck returning to Stanford as the football program's GM. Is this a win for Stanford?
No, based on where they're at now, they can't go much further south unless they go to Kent State levels.
Someone reactivated that like General Luck, the
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Revolutionary War Twitter. Remember, he's like, I've been called back into duty.
I did see that. It's going to be fun that that's back. Um, and last story is from a couple weeks ago, I believe. In Southern Illinois, they had a graduate assistant unretire to play football, start at quarterback on senior day, and he set the school record for passing touchdowns. His name is Michael Lindauer. That's hilarious.
Sweet.
It's pretty sweet. All right. Our winners and losers of the week in college football. Let's start with Alex.
My winners of the week is the WVU fan base. Hope has been restored going into the next season. We have a reason to be excited. If Neil Brown would have stayed, the mediocrity and lack of fan buy-in would have continued. So all we could say is fresh start. Don't know what we're getting into, but it's something to look forward to. I am again rejuvenated in my WVU football fandom. Loser, chalk pick, Ohio State.
Okay. I'll go next. My winners are Penn State by way of getting into the Big Ten championship game, and any bubble teams right now feel some level of opportunity that they may be able to break that top 12, top 11, whatever is needed. And my losers of the week are turf fields because flags got planted in you over the weekend. Nate.
My winners are Marshall for beating James Madison and making the Sun Belt Championship, and my losers are Miami.
Jim.
My loser or my winner is Michigan. My loser is Ryan Day.
Period.
I've
Period.
said enough.
Period. All right, that's the end of the college football slate. Bringing us to NFL Week 13. Starting on Turkey Day football as the Lions take down the Bears 23-20, resulting finally in Matt Eberflus losing his job. Terrible clock management at the end of that game. Clock runs out on the Bears, who have lost 3 games by 3 points or fewer this season.
3 in a row.
Oh, 3 in a row. Even more of a reason for Matt Eberflus to be gone. Lions get a win, though, boys.
They did. They did.
Almost choked it away. They were up like 16-0 early or something.
They did. They did. They did not cover. Rat bastards.
They did. They did. They did not cover. Yeah. So we got that. In the snooze fest, the midday nap game, the Cowboys beat the Giants 27-20.
Yeah, that game happened.
In a nightcap, the Packers take down the Dolphins 30-17. Dolphins again being questioned about their toughness in cold weather games. Dolphins linebacker Jordan Brooks did say, and I quote, "I thought we were soft, simple as that."
Yeah, let's see how that goes in the locker room for him.
Probably not going to go the best. Getting into Sunday football. Well, no, Friday football. Black Friday football and Amazon Prime. Chiefs Raiders. The Chiefs squeak out a 19 to 17 win. Jim, is the NFL still rigged?
Yes, and I think this game does not help.
What about this game made you feel that way, Jim?
It was very bad officiating at the end. Uh, I couldn't. I don't know how to explain what the actual thing was. I've watched it 3 times. I am not really sure how they. I mean, Nate's the official here, so Nate, if you could explain what the fuck happened.
If I had a chance to watch this game, buddy, I would. I was
They instead of calling false start, it was an illegal motion penalty,
okay.
and the clock did not wind or was winding
Oh,
where it would not have been. It was illegal motion versus false start in the clock, which is what this came down to.
Yeah, so an illegal motion would be a live ball foul.
Right. So that's what it was. It was not a dead ball foul, which meant the play persisted.
Mm-hmm.
but the play was dead anyway.
Well,
Like
no,
it
so
was
if you
a,
have right, but if you have an illegal motion, that's a foul at the snap. So the play goes on.
but it was after a timeout, right? Like
That's
the
why I don't
clock
remember.
hadn't moved. The clock was not in motion. Everything was stopped.
That was the issue, Nate. It was they called it illegal motion, but they stopped the play dead.
It was, and then
They had
it
to
was
convene to
stupid.
call it illegal motion instead of a false start.
So they killed it before the play got going.
Yeah, they killed
Right.
it.
Hmm.
Yeah, that was the issue at hand that then allowed who had the ball then, Jim? The Chiefs.
Well, there's times where
The
we even talked
Raiders did,
in
I
our
think.
group about stuff like that we've seen on film. It's like, can you make that a false start versus an illegal motion to kill the play there? Because a lot of the times where you see that illegal motion, it's a guy that's going forward at the snap to try to get a sprint out or like a what are they like a speed out
Hmm.
or a rub route. So at times they're like, can you make that a false start and kill that play? Especially if it's a play in the red zone that you know an obvious pick play is coming, where you'll see a guy go in motion and go forward at the snap just to try to get a head start. So that's why sometimes they'll say try to call it a false start versus illegal motion, especially if he's that close to being in the neutral zone before the ball is snapped.
So the Raiders had the
Okay.
ball at that point.
Mm-hmm.
What did that, Jim? I don't you.
I
That's why I'm
honestly,
asking you. I just knew this was right up your alley of how the game played out.
it was just not good. That's the gist and nuts and bolts of it. I
Uh,
don't, I don't really know how to explain it,
that
Muff.
was
I'm
that was the
sorry.
that was the call that put everything into question, Nate. So that was the situation. It was illegal motion versus false start. Chargers beat the Falcons 17 to 13.
Thank
Uh,
you.
yeah, Nate needs this. Pick six's difference. His cousin tosses 4 interceptions in this one, Alex. 4 interceptions.
Oh, his best look.
Not his best look. The Chargers not going to be without J.K. Dobbins for an extended period of time. He's on IR.
Yeah, he's done so.
Next, we have the Steelers in a shootout. Take out the Bengals 44 to 38 as a Big 12 game broke out in the AFC North. Steelers and
Yeah,
Bengals put up the big offensive numbers, 82 points, the highest point total in the NFL this season.
44 points from the Steelers. When was the last
So
time?
the overhit.
The overhit in the middle of the second quarter. The Bengals, this was their fourth loss when scoring 30 or more points this season. That's terrible. That's absolutely awful.
What is
Um,
what did they mention? I didn't hear if they did when the last time the Steelers were scored 44 points was.
no, I did not hear that stat, Alex. A couple things for the Steelers. Joey Porter Jr. had 4 PIs plus
Yeah,
2 other on the ball fouls, becoming potentially a liability for the Steelers in the defensive backfield.
I know he's good, but then he just does. You know what I mean? Like when he's not committing a penalty, he's a good player. So it's like you don't want to. not use him, but how do you train him to stop doing that?
You duct tape his hands with oven mitts in practice.
That's what
So
someone
put
said.
boxing gloves on him.
Yeah, that was it. Boxing gloves. I was trying to remember what they said. So you can't grab. I
Yeah.
mean, come on, man. Like you have so much potential there. Don't blow it.
Yeah.
Where's his
And
dad?
plus his dad, what?
I said, where's his dad?
Yeah. Probably up in a box somewhere. Also, George Pickens, potential liability for the Steelers in the playoffs because of just a he had two. He had an unsportsmanlike plus
Yeah,
another
exactly.
unnecessary roughness penalty, and they had to literally state this second foul on 14 does not qualify for him to be kicked out of the game.
He is a little bit of pain in the neck. He's lucky he had a good game today, so I forgave him.
Yeah, I will say from the Steelers' perspective, you have the right people on the sidelines coming up to him after these plays,
Yeah,
whether that be Cameron Hayward, Mike Tomlin. Um, who did I see him? He was talking to somebody else on the sideline that was somebody I was like, yeah, you should be talking to him. He's probably going to tell you to quit being a dummy. So we'll see if that actually sticks for George Pickens. Uh, Vikings squeak by the Cardinals 23-22. Sam Darnold hooks up with Aaron Jones with about a minute left, and the Vikings keep pace with the Lions in the NFC North. And this one, before the game, the Cards signed James Conner to a 2-year, $19 million extension. Good for
Good
him.
for him.
yeah, that's it. I mean,
Yeah. I didn't watch this game, but I'm sure that Daniel Jones was somehow highlighted on the sidelines.
No, I think they did pan over to him once on red zone.
We
I was
knew
gonna
it.
say I was red zoning, so I didn't.
We knew it. The Colts beat the Patriots 25-24 as they score and go for two in the win with 12 seconds left. The Pats tried a 68-yard field goal for the win in the final seconds, came up just short.
It was just short too,
Hmm.
dead on. Is Anthony Richardson back?
No,
I mean, he got a win.
you're not going to win many games when you have a 50% completions for 100 some yards. And
He needs to.
I
I
don't
wonder if he could change positions and use his like running ability.
I don't know. Don't know, Alex.
he,
TBD.
he, he can be like a Cordero Patterson esque player.
Yeah, like because he's athletic and he can run and stuff. He's just not a good quarterback.
We'll see. They're going to give him at least another year to figure it out. Seahawks beat the Jets 26-21. The Jets continue to jet, and the Seahawks take control in the NFC West.
Started out look like the Jets were gonna do something.
Sorry, Fireman Ed.
Did you say sorry, Fireman Ed?
Yes.
Yeah, well, yikes. Titans lose to the Commanders 42-19. Commanders have 28 points in the first half and then hold on for this 42-19 win. The bad version, well, I'm not even say the bad version of Will Levis showed up because he didn't play terribly. The Commanders just ran away with it.
Yeah, they did. Literally.
Yes, Texans beat the Jaguars 23-20. Jim, thoughts on your Texans?
That was a nasty hit on Trevor,
Yeah, Aziz Al-Shagir.
but I'm okay with it.
You're okay with what?
The win. I'll take the
No.
win.
I think with the hit, I'm like, Jim,
No,
there's
no,
a
that
lot
was not
more to it.
okay.
That's not okay.
That was not okay.
That boy going to have a hefty fine coming tomorrow.
Big
Better.
old fine.
He,
Maybe even a suspend. Well, no,
Yeah, I was gonna say I could
I'll
say
say he got ejected, so he won't be suspended.
I mean,
Oh, I think there's going to be serious investigation into a suspension here. At least
serious.
I think I think they may start at 3 games and see where it goes.
Serious.
yeah, that was ugly. That was completely. That was like when they talk about unnecessary roughness. There you
Look,
go.
it could have been worse. At least it wasn't helmet to helmet. It was forearm to helmet.
Yeah, at least he just armbarred him across the face, unsuspectingly.
Yeah, at least you can cuss him and you didn't knock him out.
Oh, he was knocked out.
He was like doing that arm thing.
Oh, he was doing a Tua impersonation?
Yeah.
It was bad. It was bad, Nate.
Oh yeah.
The Rams beat the Saints 21-14. Kyron Williams 100 plus and touchdowns. Stafford 2 touchdown passes. The Rams stay relevant in the NFC West race, now at 6-6, one game behind the Seahawks. Nate's Bucks take one from the pesky Panthers, 26-23. Nate, your thoughts?
It's the team that makes the least mistakes. So thank you, Eddie Pinheiro, for missing a couple field goals that should have won you
Yeah.
the game.
They jinxed him because they talked about how he's the most accurate most accurate kicker in NFL history, I guess. He's like 89.7%, and Justin Tucker was like 89.3%. And both of them had shitty days.
Both of them that did. You can also thank Chuba Hubbard for fumbling in the last drive in overtime, Nate.
Yeah, that too.
Huh?
Shouldn't even gotten to overtime. Again, thanks, Pinheiro.
Yeah, there you go. That was a fun game. I wasn't even watching it, but I was keeping up with some of the live stats in the last 2 to 3 minutes of regulation and in overtime. The Eagles beat the Ravens, putting another blemish, the second blemish, Lamar Jackson versus NFC teams. It's a matchup of top teams in both conferences. The difference was a fourth quarter Saquon Barkley touchdown and two missed field goals and a missed extra point by Justin Tucker. Yikes for Justin Tucker at this point. Um, do we think the Ravens need to consider any action regarding Tucker before the end of the season?
I think at this point you're past the point of no return. I mean, I don't know what kicker is available, but I mean, I think you got to be loyal to him for as good as he's been to you. But yeah, I think next season they're going to be looking for a new kicker.
Yeah, I think they need to figure. I
I
like
think
that
Tucker's going to
maybe
have to
having
ride
like
off
a
into the
Yip
sunset.
situation.
Alex?
Is he having like a Yip situation where it
Most,
gets
I think
better?
all of his misses have, no, at least all that I have seen, have been to the left. I saw a couple people breaking down some videos that were trying to maybe point some blame towards the operation, um, mostly the holder. But if he's missing everything to the left, I feel like there's got to be an issue with him.
Well, yeah, remember when I was in Pittsburgh, it was the field conditions.
That was part of it, but everything's been missed left. He missed the extra point left. I think both of his other misses were the left as well. I think he's just putting too much of a hook on it, so I don't know. I
Oh, it
don't
ain't
know.
right.
What's Fortunately, I don't think it works like that, Nate. Not all the time. Live looking 49ers Bills.
21-3 Buffalo at the half.
Ooh, Brock Purdy's playing, correct?
Correct.
Yikes for the Niners. This could really put the fork in them. Not all the way, but really start to make that sting a little bit more. Browns, Broncos, and Monday Night Football. Who do we have? Alex,
I have the Broncos. They're
Nate,
one of my best bets this week.
me too.
I have the Broncos as well. They're playing really well right now.
Jim,
Broncos.
I have the Broncos as well, which means the Browns will definitely win.
Yeah, that's not good for us.
It's not good for the world here. All right, moving out of the NFL into other interesting news in sports.
Interesting news in sports.
The fight game, and not inside the ring. Paul Bissonnette is a dog of dogs. Everybody seen, heard what happened with Biz
Felt like
in
jumped by
Arizona
some
bar.
guys.
Yeah, he got the shit kicked out of him.
Uh, Not compared to everyone else that he was kicking the shit out of, Jim.
That's true. He did put a hell of a fight on.
He said there was 7, 8, 9 guys, 6 of whom were arrested after the fact. It went from inside a bar, which he was standing up for the wait staff and the managers. He got just sucker punched from somebody, put up a fight in the bar, took it outside into the parking lot, and then continued to retreat, throw a couple. He said he got knocked to the ground a couple times, got kicked a few times, ultimately ended up with no shoes, no shirt, and inside a CVS before the cops got there. So it was about a 3.5 minute stint. I think he said he definitely knocked at least 2 guys to the ground during this whole altercation, which was at least 6 or 7 guys in him.
Good on him. I'm proud of him.
Only a hockey guy. That's all I'm gonna say. Only a hockey guy would be in this situation and be able to tell this story. And for those of you who have not listened to the full breakdown by Whitney and Bisonet, please do that for yourself. Hearing these two, especially Bisonet in this case, talk about this is hilarious. Absolute hilarious. In the NHL, nothing's good going for us right now. Pens, Blue Jackets, both in the basement. How are the Kraken doing, Jim?
They're not doing great. They're losing. They're losing a lot.
He the Pens did win yesterday.
Pens on a bit of a small mini win streak.
The Nailers won yesterday.
Alex, you were at the
Oh,
game.
Nailers
good
are.
game.
I think when I looked at the score, someone asked me like, "How are the Nailers doing?" I'm like, I don't know. Let's look. They're actually second in the conference.
Yeah, they looked really good yesterday, actually.
Which means all of their players are about to get called up.
Well, I saw a goalie did get called up.
Yeah.
But the goalie from last year got sent back down.
hmm Yes.
So take that for what it's worth.
All right. And last, in basketball, in the NBA, the Atlanta Hawks were fined $100,000 after the NBA completed an investigation and concluded that Trae Young could have played in the NBA Cup against the Boston Celtics on November 12th. The Hawks listed Young on their injury report that night as out because of tendonitis in his right Achilles. The NBA said that the Hawks were in violation of the league's player participation policy, which is, I think, new this year or last year, which focuses primarily on what the league defines as star players, a group that Trae Young would qualify for since he was on the All-Star team last season. By league rule, unless a team demonstrates an approved reason for a star player not to participate in a game, it must have the star players for all national television and NBA in-season tournament games. So for this, the Hawks were fined $100,000. This was the response to the load management from the NBA that you were seeing in a lot of their star players over the past five-ish years. Do we think this is a real deterrent?
No.
Nope.
$100,000 for planting flags, not a deterrent. $100,000 for not playing one of your star players, also not a
They're
deterrent.
probably like, yeah, that's a drop in the bucket. We would rather him not play and not get hurt. It's worth it.
We can
It
handle
seems
this.
less,
We can handle this 3 or 4 games a year and still be okay.
yes, it seems like less of a punishment, more of an option.
Yeah. All right. Any other news today, boys?
I got nothing. I think we covered a lot. I do think it's funny. I sent you guys a little link. This is unrelated to the last topic, but Broderick Jones and Mike Tomlin. He started like Broderick Jones did something, and Mike Tomlin told him, he's like, "Hey man, you're mic'd up." He goes, "Shut up." And he's walking away. He's like, "I'm just telling you." He's like, "Shut your ass up." It was hilarious.
Right?
Just because I can
Well,
like see the conversation between the two of them as they're like walking out through the
yeah.
tunnel.
In-season Hard Knocks, AFC North.
Yeah,
So that will probably show up again, if I were
yeah,
to guess.
yeah. It was just like a funny clip. It made me laugh. It was just
That
their
is funny.
personalities. It made sense. So ending
I
on a
Uh,
fun.
like that.
yeah. Oh, that was the other player that was talking to George Pickens a lot. Broderick Jones, because they went to Georgia together.
Yeah.
All right, that wraps up this week's episode of Sports Stuff with Jim and Muff. As a reminder, you can catch the betting episode that will drop on Thursday morning. Get all the picks, get all the fun, hear how we're doing in the sports betting world.
Yay. Not well.
Well, we're going to be doing great throughout the whole week because we got to be with each other today. You can be with us
Oh,
every
that's sweet.
Monday, every Thursday, and to make sure that everyone gets the word, make sure that you tell a friend, make a
Make a friend.
friend,
Be
be
a
a
What?
friend.
friend.